Yeah, good luck with that. He's played everything from a hitman to an NYPD detective, the director of a super spy agency to a war hero, petty thug in LA's criminal underworld, and a man desperate to get those snakes off that plane.
It can only be Samuel L. Jackson.
I've got soul, and I'm super.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger.
Reg, come on!
All day. Can't stop that. Can't stop that.
Round and round. Tell him I ain't playing. Pull his men off hodges now.
Perfect. Perfect. We couldn't have planned this better.
People.
I was proud of my Marines. They showed remarkable discipline.
Hey!
And sisters, then you won't know.
Collector's edition? Really? You
Yeah,
have a collector's
no,
edition?
you bet. And the man is with us right now. What a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming in. So, looking at those roles there, and it's often said that you are one of the busiest men in Hollywood. So I assume that you must constantly be offered stuff. What makes you take it? What is it in a script that makes you think, I want to do that?
Generally the story. A story that I want to tell, a story I want to be a part of, a character that's inside of it that interests me and intrigues me and challenges me in a specific way that I haven't done before.
So what was it about Django Unchained that got you, that hooked you?
Well, first thing, Quentin. Quentin Tarantino calls you on the phone and says, hey, I just wrote a new script, I want you to read it. Okay, who am I playing? A character by the name of Steven. I said, the movie's called Django Unchained. That means I'm not Django. Okay, I'll read it. And I read it, and you know, at first I was disappointed because it's a Western, and I've always wanted to do a Western and draw guns and shoot people and do all that kind of stuff. And then I kept reading it, and Steven didn't show up for a very long time. Well, where's Steven? And then when I got to him and I read it, it's like, oh, this is what he wants. So I called him back and said, okay, it's great. Sorry, I'm 15 years too old to be Django, but now you want me to be the most despicable Negro in cinematic history. And he's like, what kind of? Yeah, well, okay, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Would you have liked to have been Django?
15 years ago, I would have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, come on, that's a
Great role.
American kid's dream. I grew up watching Westerns, and my friends and I played cowboys and Indians in the streets, and we drew on each other to see who was faster and did all that stuff. So, yeah, you want to do it, and especially you want to do it in a movie like this where, you know, if you actually are faster than your friend, you see his chest explode. It's
Yes.
great.
Yeah, we'll come to that in just a moment, although we won't show the pictures.
Were you nervous about playing someone like him? Because he is, I mean, he's pretty evil.
Steven?
Yeah.
No, not at all. I understand who he is. I got to the relationships, the relationship between he and Calvin Candy, the relationship between he and Django and Schultz and all the people on the plantation, what his motivations were, how he lived, why he lived, just a product of his environment.
We should explain a little bit of the story. Django, the story of a slave who's discovered by this bounty hunter. Django's the only person that can identify the next targets, and so that they hook up. It's not just for that one kill, they then become partners.
Well, he gives him his freedom. He teaches him how to be a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And in the interim, while they're together, he finds out that his wife, Django's wife, has been sold away from him to some plantation in the South, and he needs money to find her and buy her back. So Christoph offers him money to help him kill these other people and get bounties, and then he offers him aid to go to the South to find his wife.
It is a remarkable film that only Tarantino could make. I don't think there's anyone else could make a movie like that, is there?
Yeah. Well, it actually turns out to be a very simple story, as Schultz tells it, because Django's wife is named Brunhilde, because she was owned by some German slave owners, and they named her Brunhilde, taught her to speak German. So consequently, there's this German fable about Siegfried and Brunhilde, where she falls in love with this guy, and her father puts her on a mountain, puts a dragon there to keep people away from her, and Siegfried has to be a hero, climb the mountain, slay the dragon, and walk through fire and save his lady love. So he does that. It just so happens in this particular film, the mountain is slavery.
Yes.
And the dragon at the mouth of the cave is Leonardo DiCaprio and me.
Well, Leonardo DiCaprio is Calvin Candy. He's the owner of this big plantation, and then there is you, and then there is Steven, his man that does, the man who actually is really the power behind everything. He organizes everything, but he is black. He is still a slave.
He's a slave. Yeah.
The look of him, when we just show that still there, and he's obviously much older than you, and it took you a long time to kind of get the look right. You went through lots of experimentation to kind of make sure that you
Yeah, we
right.
tried different things. I aged him up, I aged him down. I made him darker, I made him lighter. We did all kinds of things to see what would work, and we came up with about 4 different things. And we experimented with all 4 of them, and then we started mixing and matching pieces, because it also has to be an economic process, so that when I get there every day, it doesn't take me 3 hours to get into makeup, and then it shortens the day. But we found something that worked in about an hour and a half, and I could get into makeup, and it took longer to take it off than put it on, actually.
Sleep in it.
We should meet Stephen. Here he is.
You on Steve's bad side, and you need to be on his blind side.
You said you ain't know him.
Huh?
I said, you said you ain't know him.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
Mrs. Steven, I don't.
Why is you lying to me? Then why is you crying?
You scaring me.
Why is I'm scaring you?
Because you scared.
Just speak.
It is a film of remarkable performances right across the board.
Oh, yeah.
It is, as you hinted to a moment ago, it is brutal. It is brutal to anyone who is who's got a weak stomach. It's not for them. But at the same time, also, there is this incredible sense of humour that crops up every so often. There's one scene, a sort of Ku Klux Klan scene, with the guys on horses all racing out there with their terror. What must have, my God, to see them coming over the hills, you know, that terrifying scene. And the holes are too close together, and they can't see through them, and they're all arguing over who made the sacks and how could they...
what can we do about
film.
it? Yeah. Well, Quentin has an affinity for writing dialogue that is interesting, but not only interesting, but real. He's done that since he started making films where people discuss the world around them, or they discuss how they feel about a specific person that has nothing to do with the plot whatsoever. It's just an attitude. And that's what we like about him, the uniqueness of his dialogue, how he has his characters express themselves about different things. Because the majority of the scripts that you get are 3/4 screen all kinds of direction. They tell you where to go, what to do, what you're doing. Quentin's scripts are 3/4 dialogue, and the characters just kind of
Do you work on that when you get onto the
screen.
set with Leonardo DiCaprio, who's
Well,
kind of
during rehearsal, you end up having conversations about who you are and what your relationships are, and the lines sometimes develop in another kind of way. Or Quentin's there and we'll say, well, you wrote it this way, but I want to change this word or move this around, so that it works in another kind of way that leads us to this next place. And we'll experiment with those things.
That must be great to work.
Django Unchained opens January the 18th. As I said, you know, if you're a little bit squeamish, then it's heavy going, but it is a remarkable film.
Just cover your eyes on that part.
Yeah, don't look at that.
You'll
That's
laugh
what
anyway.
my wife did, yeah. And you're back in February because you've got a lot of charity things. Will you come back in February and tell us about those? We'd love
Yes,
to,
I will.
to invite
I would
you
love
back
to.
in February.
That would
in the
be
meantime,
wonderful.
that's
Thank
a great
you.
film to see, and thank
Lovely
you
to
very,
see
very
you.
much indeed.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Still to come, we've got Davina McCall and a bit of soap gossip as well. Don't go away.